Hey there, boys and girls. So today we are going to be doing exactly what the screen says. We are going to learn how to multiply using the factor of 4, 6, 7, and 8 really efficiently. And we are going to do that by learning how to break apart these numbers into the easiest ways. Now, you learned how to break apart numbers when you were in first grade and kindergarten. You learned that you could break apart a 10 into a 5 and a 5. You can break apart a 4 into a 2 and a 2. You can break apart a 6 into a 1 and a 5. And that's what we're going to do today. But now we're going to use it with multiplication. So let's get started. So this is kind of like what I was just saying. This chart is showing the best ways to break apart these numbers when you are multiplying. So when you are multiplying with fours, you want to break up that 4 into a 2 and a 2. When you are multiplying with sixes, you want to break it up into a 5 and a 1. With sevens, a 5 and a 2. And with eights, you have two ways. You can break it up into a 4 and a 4, or a 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. All right, let's keep going. So first we are going to focus on working with the fours. So if you are multiplying 4 times 7, you can look at it as something else. How about 2 times 7 and 2 times 7? So in order to do that, like I just said earlier, this is a 4 by 7 array. But instead of looking at it like that, because that's a lot to work with, I can really look at it as, and I'm going to change my color here, a 2 times 7 and a 2 times 7. So what I did was I distributed or broke apart that array into two smaller arrays. Let's continue with that. So let's try another one, and I'm going to get a little bit more in depth here. So this is showing a 4 times 9. And if you don't have those multiplication or this multiplication fact memorized, that can be a lot of work. So if I look at this array, it is 4 times 9. But what I am showing you in this presentation is how instead of looking at it as 4 by 9, we're going to break that 4 apart into a 2 times 9 and a 2 times 9. And I would write that just like this if you follow me up top. 2 times 9, and I'm going to put that in parentheses to show that they are a group and they go together, plus, because I'm going to combine them, another 2 times 9. And if I solve those, 2 times 9, well, you can skip count by 2 9 times, or you can add 9 plus 9. I know that that answer is 18. If that's 18, then that is 18. And I'm going to add them together, 18 plus 18. So boys and girls, be careful here because there is some regrouping that's going to happen. So in my ones place, I have an 8 and an 8. I know 8 plus 8 is 16. So I'm going to put my 6 down in the ones place. But in the number 16, I know that there is a 10 that has to go with my other 10s. So now I have 10, 20, and then that 30 from when I brought the 10 over. So there I go. 4 times 9 is 36. Pretty easy, huh? Let's try another one because I know you guys can do it. All right, so now I'm going to take that array away. Everybody, I'd like you to get out a piece of paper. And on your paper, I would like you to do just what I am doing. You are going to do 4 times 6 equals. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to get this set up for me. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that you have on your paper 4 times 6, we are not doing anything with the 6, nothing. But what we are doing is breaking up that 4. So I'd like you to circle that 4, and underneath of it, write 2, comma 2. That's going to help your brain remember that we broke up that 4 into a 2 and a 2. Then here's what you're going to do for me. After that equal sign, I want you to make a parentheses, make a line, times a line, parentheses, make a plus sign, parentheses, a line, times a line, and then close it with the parentheses. That is how we are going to set up this fancy equation. 4 times 6 equals. So I already told you we are doing nothing with the 6. So go ahead and fill in your 6 for the amount in the group, which we call the columns. The columns are not changing. And to help you out here in case you are confused, I'm actually going to color over it in green to show you it always, that columns, excuse me, is staying the same. Okay, but we did break apart the 4. We broke it up into what? You should have said a 2 and a 2. So that did change. So now we have 2 times 6 and 2 times 6. So instead of looking at the equation 4 times 6, what we're really looking at now is 2 times 6 plus 2 times 6. And if you notice, 2 plus 2 equals 4. So there is a connection. So now we're going to solve this. 2 times 6 is 12. Obviously, we know that 2 times 6 is 12. We're going to put those together. 12 plus 12, that's pretty easy because there's no regrouping happening. That answer is 24. Okay, so that's what you should have gotten as your answer as you walked through this with me. Okay, so we are going to keep on going. So we are now moving on to working with the 6s. And you guys are going to really like this one because we get to use 2 very friendly multiplication strategies or multiplication factors, I should say. So this is a big array. And oh my goodness, I don't know about you, but that's a hard equation. So we have a 6 times 7 equation. And I don't know about you guys, but I do not want to draw 6 groups and count up 7 in each. If I have to, I will, but I want to show you a better way to do this. So instead of looking at this 6 as a 6, let's look at it as a 5 and a 1. So boys and girls, let's think about it. Where could I break this array up to show 5 and a 1? I'll let you think about that for a second and feel free to gently put your finger up on the screen and show where you could do that. Okay, so one way is you could have broken it up right here. Drew a line across that shows 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that shows 1. Or if you didn't want to do that, I'm just going to erase that for you. You could have put it down here. And once again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 1. So when you're looking at this big 6 by 7 array, just like I showed you on the last page, what you're really now looking at is a 5 times 7 plus, because remember, you're going to combine or add those arrays up, 1 times 7. Oh my goodness, guys, look how much easier that is. Remember, nothing happened with the 7 because we didn't break up the columns. We only broke up the 6 into a 5 and a 1. So let's quickly solve these. 5 times 7. Well, obviously, we can count by 5 7 times. Do that with me. Ready? Go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Very good. And we should know that 1 times 7, we know that rule because of the identity property of 1. 1 times 7 is 7. And then you are going to add those up. 35 plus 7, be careful, there will be some regrouping because when you add 5 and 7 up, your number is greater than 10. And if you go ahead and add them, you will get 42. Awesome. So let's go ahead and keep going. And this time you guys are going to be doing one on your paper, and I want to see how you do. Okay, here we go. So I would like you to solve this 6 by 8 array. So obviously, I don't want you to draw this array. That's going to take too much time. I am going to label it for you, a 6 by 8. I am going to draw a line for you. I am going to get your equation ready for you. So I'd like you to start writing this on your paper. 6 times 8 equals parentheses, blank times blank, parentheses, plus blank times, sorry, it's taking me a little bit, blank. I will also help you out by showing you on this one that nothing is changing with the 8. The 8 is staying because we did not break apart the columns. We did not break apart the columns. So I'm going to go ahead and give you about 30 seconds to figure out what the other numbers are. And they're going to be your blue numbers. So we broke up the 6 some way. Go ahead and fill them out. I'll give you 30 seconds to figure out what factor goes here where my arrow is and what factor goes here. Go ahead, 30 seconds. Okay, boys and girls. So when I was gone for a second, you should have put here 1 times 8 and 5 times 8. That's what you should have put for your factors because that's what we broke it up as. 1 and a 5. We did nothing with that 8, remember? And then let's go ahead and solve it. 1 times 8 we know should be what? 8 because of that rule we have. 5 times 8, let's go ahead and count by 5 8 times. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And if I combine 8 and 40, that's easy adding. You get as your answer 48. Super duper. Let's keep on going, boys and girls. Okay, so now on your paper, I would like you to write 6 times 9. And I would like you to break apart the 6 into a 1 and a 5. And look at your paper if you forget how to set up that fancy equation. And go ahead and I'm going to give you 1 full minute to figure out 6 times 9 by breaking up that 1 and that 5. Please begin. Guys have about 30 seconds. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. So how you should have written this is 1 times 9, because remember, we are not breaking up that 9, plus 5 times 9. Now, boys and girls, because there is not an array with us, some of you may have written 5 times 9 and 1 times 9, and that is perfectly fine. And if you add these, or if you solve these, excuse me, it should have been 9 plus 45. And then when you added those up, you should get 54. Okay? Check your work, see if it makes sense, see if it matches, and let's begin. So we are now looking at working with sevens. So working with sevens is very similar to working with sixes because you are breaking it up into 2 very friendly numbers, a 5 and a 2. So let's try this one out. If I'm going to label this array in a 7 by 8 array, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, of course. And I have 8 columns or 8 in each group. So I have this big old 7 by 8 array. And I don't know about you guys, that is not easy to solve, unless, of course, you have your facts memorized. And if you do, good for you. And remember, we are breaking up that 7. The 8 is staying the same. So now what you're going to do is you can choose. Where do you want to break it up into a 5 and a 2? You want to do it here, where you have 2 and then 5? Or we can come down here. It does not matter. Okay, so I now have a 5 by 8. And I'm sorry, I forgot my parentheses. And then I'm combining the arrays. 2 times 8. So much easier to solve, because that's a 5 is easy to work with. A 2 is easy to work with. 5 times 8 is what, boys and girls? Very good. You should have said 40. And 2 times 8 is what, boys and girls? You should have said 16. And then when you combine these, there is no regrouping. 40 plus 16 is 56. Excellent job. Let's keep moving forward. And now you get ready, because you're going to do the next one on your paper. Okay, so let's try another one. So we are now doing a 7 by 6 array. And just like we have been doing, you are breaking up that 7 into a 5 and a 2. So I'm going to go ahead and get it ready for you. Oh, I'm so sorry. That is a terrible line. Whoo, Mrs. Bushy was going too fast on that one. Goodness. Okay, so we are going to go ahead now. It's a little better, and get our equation set up. So you have 7 times 6 equals, and I want you to figure out what factors go on that line, on the lines, excuse me. So I'm going to give you about a minute to get the factors on the lines and go ahead and solve it for me. We've been working hard. I think you can do this. I'm going to give you 1 full minute. You have about 30 seconds left. Remember, you're solving it too. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. So remember, you were doing nothing with the 6. We did not break apart the columns, but we did break apart, obviously, the rows or the groups. So we broke up those groups into a 5 and a 2. That's what you should have had written down on your paper. 5 times 6, you should have had 30. And then 2 times 6, you should have had 12. And because of that combining symbol, the adding symbol, when you add up 30 and 12, your answer is 42. I'm going to go ahead and give you some time to check your work, because the next one you are doing without an array on your own, just like we have been doing this whole time. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. I think you're ready. Okay, so on your paper, I would like you to go ahead and write 7 times 9. And I want you to do the big equation by yourself, and feel free to look back at your previous work to help you know what to do. The only reminder I am going to give you right now is that, remember, when you see 7, you break it up into a 2 and a 5, or you could even say a 5 and a 2. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to answer this, or solve, excuse me, that equation. Please begin. You have 60 seconds left. Thirty seconds. I'm going to go ahead and start getting the equation set up. Okay, so on your paper, you should have written down 2 times 9, or you might have said 5 times 9, and that's okay. And then 5 times 9. The reason why this is what you should have on your paper is because we did nothing with the 9. I am underlining all the 9s in blue. We did not distribute or break apart the 9. We did break apart the 7 into a 2 and a 5. So now let's solve this. 2 times 9 is 18. 5 times 9 is 45. Of course, you are combining because of that plus sign. You're bringing the two arrays together. So be careful when you are adding these because there is some regrouping. If you notice, when you're going to put that 5 and 8 together, it is going to be greater than 10. So 5 plus 8 is 13. So you're going to put that 3 down in the ones place. You have 4 tens, 1 10, and then the other 10 from the 13, which is going to be 60 or 6 tens. So your answer is 63. Give yourself a huge pat on the back if you got it right. And give yourself a huge pat on the back if you got it wrong. Boys and girls, this is not easy. So we are going to practice this a lot, and we know you can do it. Let's keep on going. So last but not least, we are working with eights. So the first way that you can break up anytime you see a factor of 8 is into a 4 and a 4. So when I'm looking at this array, I have 8 times 4, of course. But when I look at this, what I really want to look at it as is a 4 by 4 and a 4 by 4. So what I really have is 4 times 4 and another 4 times 4. So when I would write that out, I would have 4 times 4 plus 4 times 4. So if you notice, I did not touch the columns. My columns are staying a 4. I broke apart that 8, though, into a 4 and a 4 because, of course, 4 plus 4 equals 8. And if I'm going to solve these, 4 times 4, it's kind of a tricky one. So you might want to really take your time. You count by fours. 4, 8, 12, 16. So we know that one's going to be 16. And be careful, you will have some regrouping when you add them up. 6 and 6 is 12. And then you carry that 10 over to the other two. Your answer is going to be 32. All right, so now we're going to move on because there is, believe it or not, another way you can break apart eights. So the second way is actually by looking at this as a 2, another 2, and another 2. I know you guys are probably like, what, Mrs. Bushy? So instead of this being an 8 by 4 array, we are actually creating 4 equations. 2 times 4, 2 times 4, 2 times 4, and 2 times 4. So we know that 2 times 4 equals 8. And you would just do that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you would get the same answer of 32. And we're going to keep practicing with that. I just wanted to show you that very, very quickly. So let's go ahead and keep going. Okay, so we have here a very complicated equation. I'm not going to, lie to you about this. Working with eight's tricky. So we have an 8 by 6 array. But boys and girls, you're not always going to have this lovely array here to count them up or skip count. So we have to figure out what to do. So I have 8 times 6. So we have a choice. We can either break this up into 2s or break this up into 4s. Let's go ahead and break it up into 4s. So now what I have instead of 8 times 6 is I actually have a 4 times 6 plus a 4 times 6. So go ahead on your paper. Let me go back to using that yellow color. I'm sorry. Go ahead onto your paper and write 8 times 6 equals. And we are going to set up our equation like we have been doing today. And remember, that 6 is not changing. We have not done anything. So I'm going to underline it in blue. The columns have not changed. However, we did break apart our rows. So what number should go here? I'm going to count down from 5 and I want you to tell me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you said 4, you are correct. And then what number goes there? You should have said 4. So now I'm going to solve these. 4 times 6. Well, we already learned about the 4s. We learned that what you can really do is look at that 4 as 2 equations, a 2 times 6 and a 2 times 6. And I know that if you just want to make some little things here, you can. I know 2 times 6 is 12. And I know that another 2 times 6 is 12. So if I add up 12 plus 12, that's pretty easy math. I get 24. And if that's 24, then that's 24. So I can easily put those together and know that 24 plus 24 is 48. All right, are you ready for another one? I know we can do this. Let's keep on going. Okay, so boys and girls, I know I took the array away. I'm sorry. And I gave you a big one. Everybody on your paper, I'd like you to make 8 times 9. 8 times 9. Now you have a choice. You can look at 8 as a 4 and a 4, or you can look at 8 as a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 2. So I'm going to give you, let's do 90 seconds again to answer this equation, 8 times 9. Remember, we are breaking apart the 8. We are not touching the 9. You may begin. We are down to 60 seconds. Thirty seconds. Okay, I think we're about ready because we don't want to be here all day. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 4 times 9 plus 4 times 9. Sorry about my parentheses. So this is for the children that broke up the 8 into 4 times 9 and 4 times 9. So if you did that, that would have been your work. 4 times 9 is 36. So obviously that is 36. Be careful, you will have to do some regrouping. 36 and 36 is 72. So that's way number 1. Way number 2 here is if you saw 8 times 9 as 4 equations. Woo! So you would have had 2 times 9. And I am not going to write this entire thing out because we'll be here a while, but you should have had 2 times 9 plus 2 times 9 plus 2 times 9 plus 2 times 9, and you would have gotten 18 4 times, and then that would have also been 72. So either way you did it, boys and girls, your answer should have been 72. Okay? So let's go ahead and move forward. So we are now moving into the quiz. So you are going to now log on to your student learning template and complete the quiz that is called 4s, 6s, 7s, and 8s. This will be a combination of equations and word problems, So just to quickly remind you, when you are looking at a 4, what you're really looking at is a 2 and a 2. When you're looking at a 6, what you're really looking at is 1 and 5. When you're looking at 7s, what you're really looking at is 2 and 5s. And when you're looking at 8s, what you're really looking at is a 4 and a 4 or 2, 2, 2, and 2. Boys and girls, I hope this video is going to help you be successful on the quiz, and I hope you learned a lot. All right, thank you for listening. Bye.